Anyway, up next, if I can get it out of here, we have The Outlaw Jersey Wales, an excellent Western with Clint Eastwood, and actually one of the very few revenge films that I like. I said before, but I'm not really a fan of revenge films, but I really like this one. All around, really great, excellent Western. It's not what you expect, ever. So it's not what you expect. Alright, I'm going to take that out in a minute. Put that back in there. Overboard. This is a remake with Anna Faris. I said before, but I don't like remakes, but this is actually one of the better ones. I've actually never seen the original, so one of these days I have to get around to that. Over the Hedge. Yeah, another movie I really like. I remember watching this when I was younger. I thought it was great. The idea of like these characters taking on suburbia and a world that they don't quite, understand. That's really great. Really great. Fun little movie. One of DreamWorks' best, actually. And yes, it does the whole wire revealed storyline, but it's actually one of the better wire revealed storylines that I've seen. DreamWorks did another movie called Shark Tale, which had probably the worst wire revealed storyline I've ever seen in my life. Paddington. I never read the books when I was younger, but I saw the movie. The movie was great. Just a nice little story about this little bear who gets lost and he's trying to get to Peru. Pretty cute little movie. Cute movie. I have no complaints with that one. Never saw the second one. Who actually voiced the bear in this one? Who voiced the bear? Ben Whishaw, yeah. It was great. I actually heard they were going to make a third one. Or I think the third one's being released later this year, so we'll see how that goes. Paint Your Wagon. Oh, dear Lord. This is one of the worst films I'd ever seen in my life, and it's also one of my guilty pleasures. Like, it is really bad. And so basically, this is a Werner and Will musical, and oh my god, this is hilarious. Like, if you wanna watch a musical that is unintentionally hilarious, then please watch this movie, because this movie has Clint Eastwood and Lee Marvin. Nobody can sing in this movie whatsoever. Nobody can sing in this movie, and Lee Marvin sounds like a suffocating drain pipe. Yes, it is a Western comedy, but it's like, you could think of it as like a satire on the Western landscape, the gold rush, men who are just bored. I don't know. It's a lot of different things, but man, it's funny. Pale Rider. Another amazing Clint Eastwood Western, this time from 1985. And again, it's another one of these man of no name type of movies. Someone rides into town, doesn't want to cause any trouble. He wants to help people, but he realizes that he has a much bigger mission, defending the town from people who want to destroy it. Yeah, really great movie. Love Pale Rider. I should really watch that again. Panic in Year Zero and The Last Man on Earth. Man, I was just talking about you. I was just talking about you. Panic in Year Zero was basically that movie. I haven't seen it, but I heard it was really great. That movie, like, came out before the Cuban Missile Crisis, so it really heightened its, it made everybody really afraid of nuclear annihilation. Panic Room I'm sorry to say this, but I'm not a fan of this movie. And it really sucks because I was really looking forward to it. Basically, this movie, the biggest problem with this movie is, okay, it falls in the category of home invasion movies. And I am not a fan of home invasion movies at all. Because basically what they amount to is the burglars are like, what do we want? Money. Where's the money? In my house. How do we get it? We need to kidnap a family, hold them hostage, and search every single corner of a house looking for it. Oh, and make sure we lock up a house so nobody can try and stop us. Yeah, it's basically the same idea. Only difference is that this one, Jodie Foster and Kristen Stewart are stuck in this panic room in this like condo, and they're up against Jared Leto and Forrest Whitaker who are trying to get in the house. It's fine. I guess it's breaking in wasn't bad, but yeah, I'm not a fan of home invasion movies. Pan's Labyrinth. I have not seen this yet. I know, right? I have not seen this. I heard from so many people that it's excellent, and I just have not gone around to this yet. But I did get a Criterion release, so I'll pick that up at some point. Here's an underrated one, The Paper Chase. John Houseman won an Oscar for portraying a Harvard law professor who he's trying to essentially inspire, well, not inspire, but he's basically teaching his students hard lessons about Harvard law and everything. It's another one of these kind of like slice of life kind of movies, at least I think. But this actually spawned a TV show. A lot of people don't know that, but this movie actually spawned a TV show. And very underrated movie. Doesn't have a Blu-ray, but check it out. Papillon. An excellent prison movie with Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman. It's the true story of Henry Sherry, who... Sherry? Sherry. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name. He gets thrown into a maximum security prison, and with the help of Dustin Hoffman, he tries to escape. And this is just a really great prison film overall. And actually, this had involvement from Henry himself. Paradise Hawaiian Style. This is a terrible, terrible Elvis movie. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, so this movie is really, really bad. Like, what the hell? This is a terrible movie. Okay. The songs are bland. The story is basically sort of similar to Blue Hawaii, just not quite as good. And yeah, this movie is just kind of sloppy in many places. And the songs, don't even get me started on the songs. Oh boy. Alright, so there's this one song called It's a Dog's Life, where Elvis is basically pirating a helicopter full of dogs, and like he's basically singing about he would rather be a dog instead. And then there's another one called Queenie Wahine Papaya. And Queenie Wahine's papaya waits higher, and pineapple pumpkin, oh boy. This big bird papaya, oh Queenie Wahine, and perfect perpetual joy. I have no idea where that song came from. and then like the title track is great and all, but oh man, it's just funny. It's just funny. Next we have a Paranormal Activity films. The first Paranormal Activity was actually caused quite a sensation when it first came out. It was shown in very limited theaters, and it had this campaign where if you go to the website and you hit, I think you hit a button that says something like play in my theater or something like that, you can send in like a request to have it play at a theater near you. And yeah, the first Paranormal Activity is excellent. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's definitely one of the best found footage films out there for sure. Especially the twist at the end. Oof, didn't expect that. And the sequels actually tried to do something interesting with the concept of found footage. So in the second one has security cameras that are placed all around the house. The third one, which is technically a prequel, utilized the VHS camera, but they actually did something really cool where they placed the where the guy placed the camera on a fan, and it's just like stock there, it's just stationary there, and it moves back and forth. You know, and it does it multiple times, so it's actually really, really cool. And the fourth one, which I have not seen, utilizes webcams. The fifth one, the marked ones, was basically just every found footage film you can see. It's not even that original. The last one, the Ghost Dimension, was terrible because we're like, oh, let's just show the activity. I was like, no, it's just lazy as hell. And there's actually another one called Next of Kin. I have never heard of it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a spin-off like the marked ones or what. I don't know. Paths of Glory. One of Stanley Kubrick's finest films. This is a fantastic anti-war film. This is a film dealing with a colonel played by Kirk Douglas he's also an attorney who he's trying to defend these free men who were tried for cowardice. Because the general, I don't want to give too much away, but one of the generals, he forced a suicide run on his own men just to make him glorious. And this is a film dealing with the hypocrisy of war and what is the right call, either following orders or listening to yourself and know, hey, this is really bad, this is a suicide mission, we shouldn't even be doing this, and falling back. Like, what is the right call to action? What is the right thing to do? And it deals with the hypocrisy of war. It deals with it's just really, really fantastic. And overall, it's just one of the best anti-war films you could watch. And actually, one of my favorite films. I actually just picked up the Criterion edition of that, but I love that movie so much. Again, definitely a film that is very meaningful, thought-provoking, and on top of that, brilliantly directed and well written. Parasite. Best Picture winner and Best Foreign Language Film in 2019, Criterion number 1054. When I first saw this, I didn't really know what to expect, but it's one of those zeitgeist kind of movies. Another film dealing with the theme of high class versus lower class. How the lower class are trying to get into the high class, and then the movie at one point, you think it's a comedy at first. You think it's like a black comedy, but then at some point, I don't want to give it away, but at some point it becomes a thriller, and you don't actually expect it. So it's great. A great theme in that one. The Patriot. We saw this in history class, and I have absolutely no idea why. This isn't even really that historically accurate anyway, so I can't even, I liked it, don't get me wrong, but I can't understand why we saw this in history class. I just can't. Mel Gibson, Heath Ledger. I mean, this movie, if it's supposed to portray a historical event, it's not doing it very well. But then again, I haven't seen it in a long time, so anyway. You're better off watching, well, actually, I shouldn't say that, because, I mean, The Patriot is good in many aspects, but Patriots Day is more historically accurate, though. The true story of the Boston Marathon bombing and all the people that were involved on that day, and the manhunt for the two brothers who were responsible for it. Outside of Mark Wahlberg's character, who's fictional, every single person in this movie was a real person. And you can definitely tell the level of authenticity that they really cared about telling this story. And it's really excellent. Really excellently done. It gives you sort of a clear timeline of how the event unfolded. And same with Deepwater Horizon. It's very similar to that. Patton. Best Picture Oscar winner 1970. This is a fantastic war film, but it's essentially a deep character study on who George S. Patton actually was. With an Oscar-winning performance by George C. Scott, and this movie is really great in terms of historical accuracy. There are a couple of things that are a little off, but other than that, It shows who George S. Patton actually was. That while yes, he was a controversial and stern, leader, he also had his own inner demons and such. And it depicts many battles that he was in, and it does a really good job. It helps you kind of understand who Patton was, what his values were, who he is as a person, and how he was as a leader and as a person, and it's great. Paul Blart Mall Cop. This is a guilty pleasure of mine. I know it's bad, but it's like I was. My mom can't stand this movie at all. This is just funny. It's just a funny movie. And I know it's Happy Madison, and I should not like any of her movies, but I will admit there were a few that I actually kind of didn't mind. And that's one of them. The Peanuts movie. A very respectful film that really honors the rules of the comics, the rules and character establishments of the comics, while simultaneously telling a really great story. It's very faithful to its own source material because the Charles Schultz's members of Charles Schultz's family was involved in the production of this film, and you could tell they really wanted to honor Charles Schultz's legacy and his characters, and you can really tell, and it really shines in this film. Again, I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember really loving this. A very respectful film, a great tribute to Charles Schultz, and definitely one of the best Peanuts movies out there, ranking alongside A Boy Named Charlie Brown and Snoopy Come Home. Pearl Harbor. Ugh. Speaking of disrespecting history, at least the Patriots Day, and Patton, at least those three have some level of authenticity to them. Patriots Day and Patton are more historically accurate, and even Paths of Glory was modeled after a few historical events here and there. But this movie is so disrespectful. I don't care if you watch the theatrical cut or the director's cut that seems to be stuck on DVD for some bizarre reason. It doesn't matter. It's the same length. It's the same movie, just less bonus features. But it doesn't matter because this movie is so... This was Michael Bay's answer to Titanic, and it didn't work. You have a love triangle that goes nowhere. You have characters that are completely fictional, who are not written well whatsoever. And then on top of it all, on top of everything else, the Battle of Pearl Harbor itself is not even depicted correctly. I mean, seriously, you show the Japanese firing at the hospital when it was historically reported that the Japanese never fired there once. And if they did, it was an accident, but the Japanese never fired at the hospital, not once. And then you show people, like real soldiers, who say that they can't swim, and they're out in the middle of the water. What was your beef? What was the point? There are historical figures in here, like this one guy, Cuba Gooding Jr., I'm blanking on his name right now. He shot down several Japanese planes and won a Medal of Honor. And yes, there are a few, but we don't know any of them. We don't know a single person in this movie. We don't know any of them. The rest of the movie isn't even that much better. It's just badly written. My God. Whatever. Pebble and the Penguin. When I was like 12, we rented this movie from Blockbuster, and I was sick of the flu, and I loved it so much that we actually bought it from the rental section. And yes, I was allowed to do that at the time. And I still have it, actually, down lower. But anyway, yeah, but Pebble and the Penguin. I consider this to be like, one of Don Bluth's most misunderstood films. I know this came out during the Don Bluth slump with films like Rock-a-Doodle and Thumbelina and whatever. And this movie was such a flop that nobody cared. But you know what? I grew up on this film, so in a way I'm kind of nostalgic about it. I am completely nostalgic about this movie, especially the Barry Manilow soundtrack, Now and Forever. Yeah, I think it gets a lot too much hate personally. And actually, this movie had like bad production history where the animation was so crappy that this DVD right here and the Blu-ray release, the Family Fun Edition, fixed all the animation errors that was created in Hungary, I think. It's a long story. And no, that's not an example of destroying film history. That's actually fixing an actual mistake that was made as a result of a rushed animation schedule. So, Penny's Serenade. Cary Grant and Irene Dunne are a married couple who they want to have a kid, and then they end up adopting one. And this is after, his wife had the miscarriage as a result of I think it was like an earthquake or something, and they're trying to adopt a kid, and they're struggling, and the whole movie is laid out through this record. So it's told in flashback mainly, and every single aspect of her lives are told through the record. It's the record that she plays throughout the film. And be careful about which release you get, because this movie's public domain has had the misfortune of having bad home video life. So basically what I mean is there's a very important scene, where Cary Grant, by the way, this one I have is by JG View. Anyway, there's a very important scene where Cary Grant is in the adoption agency. Remember, this is 1945, I think. And he's trying to get approval from this agency to let him adopt a kid. And they're a little bit unsure at first, but he convinces them to let them have a child because he really cares that much. For whatever reason, that scene was cut out of several of the home video releases. And I don't know why. And as far as I know, there hasn't been a better high-quality release of that film, to my knowledge. People vs. Larry Flynt. The true story of Larry Flynt, who he created the Hustle magazine, which was kind of like the successor to... It was sort of in competition with Playboy, and it's been a while since I've seen that. The Perfect Storm. The true story of Hurricane Grace. I want to get this right. Is it Hurricane Grace? Yes, it's Hurricane Grace. Okay, good. Alright, just want to make sure. So, George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg play the true life guys who are out in the middle of Hurricane Grace, in the middle of a storm. This is really great. This and Twister were the best disaster films that could have come out of the 90s. And don't forget about Dante's Peak and Deep Impact. Those two were great as well. And it's been so long since I've seen this, but I remember really, really liking this movie. A Perfect World. One of the earliest Clint Eastwood films I ever saw. Also with Kevin Costner. Again, I don't remember this movie at all. I do not remember that movie at all. Pet Sematary, the original, from 1989. I am not a fan of this one at all. I didn't find it scary. I didn't find it creepy. I just found it kind of boring. And it sucks because you have Fred Gwynne in there, which is really kind of a shame. And it's Stephen King. This is an example that, for me personally, I liked the new adaptation better. It's not that I don't think this movie's bad. It's just... I just didn't find it all that creepy, to be honest. Pete's Dragon. Once again, another example of me liking the remake better. I have tried and tried to like this movie. And I've tried at least twice. And for me, I just found the whole thing too hokey, too upbeat, too kind of bizarre for my taste. I love the live-action animation crossover. I love the way that the dragon Elia is designed. And I love the song Candle in the Water, which is actually one of my favorite songs. But the rest of the movie as a whole, though, I don't know. It's just not very for me. I could go on and on, but I've got a lot of other stuff to get through. I'm not saying the original Pete's Dragon is bad. I'm just saying I just can't fall in love with it like everyone else. The Petrified Forest with Leslie Howard, Benny Davis, and Humphrey Bogart. I don't remember if I've seen this or not. I don't remember. Phantom of the Opera. Oh, God, what happened? What happened here? You had one job, and you ruined it, man. You ruined it. This movie is so inferior to the original stage version, but it baffles my mind. First of all, you cast Gerard Butler as the Phantom, and he cannot sing. He just can't. He cannot sing. I'm sorry. I don't know how many people like him, but he cannot sing. Second, you gave the directing job to a guy who I just didn't think he was right fit for the job. Also, on top of that, you changed the reason why the audience is interested in Christine. Is her name Christine? Yeah, Christine. You like changed the fundamental reason why the audience is interested in Christine. And on top of that, you dub an actress who could actually sing. And I mean, the way the movie's shot, it just doesn't work like in the long run, and it's quite embarrassing, honestly. Minnie Driver, yeah, she can sing, and you just dubbed her. So no, that is not okay. The stage version was better, you know. I've never seen it on stage, but I can tell you, it is miles better than the movie. The movie's okay, but the stage version is where it's at. Although I will say this, the scene where the chandelier breaks at the end of the first act is very faithful in the movie. So I will say that much. But I'm really disappointed that the Phantom of the Opera closed recently, which was really sad for the theater world, actually. Sad day for the theater world. And barely anything was done to it. There wasn't a filmed final performance or anything. It was just... Phantom of the Opera deserved better. Philadelphia. This is a great film. Tom Hanks won an Oscar for portraying someone with AIDS who got fired from his job, and Denzel Washington is trying to defend him in court. And this is a great film. Of course, it has the Oscar-winning song "Streets of Philadelphia" by Bruce Springsteen. It's been a long time since I've seen this, but I remember really liking it. Speaking of really liking something, The Philadelphia Story. Fantastic comedy with Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, and an Oscar-winning performance by Jimmy Stewart. This is a fantastic film. Wonderfully directed by George Cukor. Yeah, I have no complaints with this movie at all. It's great. A great example of how to do a screwball comedy. Wait, is it a screwball comedy or is it... Oh, it's a rom-com. Okay, it's a romantic comedy. Yeah, it's a great romantic comedy. It really does the job, and it's brilliant. I think Criterion put that one out too. But first, Pirates of the Caribbean. I actually have a funny story with this movie. So, I was real young when this movie came out in theaters, and I didn't see it all the way through for like 13 years. There was a scene where Keira Knightley gets kidnapped by Jeffrey Rush, who's the captain of the Black Pearl, and everybody starts turning into skeletons, and Jeffrey Rush is like, "You don't believe in ghost stories. You're in one." And I was just so terrified that I walked out of the theater and didn't see it all the way through for 13 years. And then I saw it all the way through, and it is excellent. It is an excellent, excellent film. An excellent adventure film, one of Disney's best, and one of the best examples of how you translate a ride to screen, which Disney is having so much trouble doing that nowadays. Disney has had so many issues with it, and this is the one that succeeded. It's a great adventure film. The ending ties everything nicely. It's really well done. Great sword fights. Good story. It's great. And I also have the second one, Dead Man's Chest, which I also really liked. I mean, what's his name? Davy Jones, I believe his name is. He was good. The action in this one's great. I don't have much to complain about this one. It's pretty decent. I was not a fan of the third one at World's End. At World's End was absolutely terrible. I just couldn't stand that movie at all. Stranger Tides was a little better, but not much. And Dead Man Tell No Tales was a nice cap on the series. And then I keep hearing talks of a sixth one. How are you going to do that? You ended the series twice with Dead Man Tell No Tales and the third one at World's End. How are you possibly going to continue the story? There is nothing to continue. It is done. It is over. The Pirates of the Caribbean series has been beaten to death. I went on a ride. The ride is awesome. You don't... I mean, it's been butchered about 1,000,000 times, but the soul of it is still there. You don't need to ruin it any more than you already have. So stop. Please.